welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me and our beautiful audience. Welcome to the show. And YK in the
Oh my goodness. Like 3 months. Over 3 months.
All your fans, where's Auntie Yenny? She went to the abroad. She went to the abroad.
It's not the abroad like that, too, because they think I went for enjoyment. That's how someone sent me text. I enjoy your holiday. I say it's not a holiday.
I went to go and babysit.
It's not a holiday.
This is not fair to that cute boy that you want to sing.
No. He's so cute.
How is he doing?
I was crying when I was leaving. I cried in the plane. I cried when I got back.
Wow, you've definitely missed him.
And then when I now called him, you deserted me. I didn't even greet you. So he has even actually refused. He will even smile at Salome. He won't smile at me.
Like you should be here.
I think he feels I've deserted him. So I feel so bad.
How is he eating, playing, active?
I took him out every day. I used to wake up at 5 every. Next time I complain that I'm waking up at 12 for your view, don't slap me.
Because you went
5 a.m.
Oh, look at the
every
pictures!
day. I came out with my gray hair.
Oh, wow. How many months is he now?
If I look like you at 58.
Look at him. Oh, look at him.
Yes, he is.
My brother came to London for a show. And this is him and I.
Such a beautiful baby.
He almost looks like you now.
Amen. If I look like that kid, boy, I'm very happy.
No. He has some of
we went out. I took him out every day. I mean, he just loves. I said his fella's spirit inside him.
You back him?
Of course. In fact, when I put him on my back like this, he would.
He'll be happy.
He will just relax.
So this is the person that will back me today.
Let him not back.
I'm eager to work harder because if you can take out that time because you can. Many people probably can't, and then it's a sacrifice on your part that you are willing to make this move for. A lot of women can't do it. They just be like, I have my life, I have all of this.
Not just that they are not chance to.
I don't know if I should even give you this gist. I gave Morayo the gist before.
Okay, don't say it out yet.
I should say it out.
No, not yet. Just take it easy.
That's how Morayo likes to be singing his story.
I don't get
you give
Okay, not on TV. I'll take it.
We're sitting with this cat.
Anyway, how you doing, Topsy?
I'm good. So today's the event.
Which event? Oh, that
the
event.
Book launch, yeah. Today's the book launch. But aside from that, I'm also I'm going to Ibadan on Thursday, tomorrow, and I'm going to be there till Sunday. I'm doing detox for 2 days. One of my friends is hosting me in Ibadan, and I'm like, I want to go to Ibadan like a tourist. I'm going to Lima, I'll take pictures, I'll go to Mapol, I'll go to UI. I want to visit Ibadan
That's not what the animals are feeling like.
I want to visit Ibadan like the way I visit New York.
I thought they said they are headsmen there.
Right,
No.
I saw one video that
YK, you're back in Nigeria.
Express.
Don't be listening to everything you see there. We are still here. Are we not alive? Are we not alive?
Sir, don't let them kidnap you. Sir, don't let them kidnap you. I don't have money to release you. We will now start contributing. Please donate for
not a portion. It's not a portion. Nima, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Nima. Apapa Road
He's back.
is back.
How can they do this?
I didn't want to work on YK with the news, but I couldn't help myself. But you know, Nima is connected. Thank you for all the people that I called. And they did something about it.
Right, fantastic. That's good. It's good to know that you're making an impact.
Do you know how long it took me to get here inside traffic? Just let's not. There's the new governor of Ogun State. I better go. Maybe he will do the road.
That's Oyo.
Oh, you're okay. Abiodun.
Abiodun.
Yes,
you know what's painful, YK, when all government thinks about is capitalism, how to commercialize every area. They forget their residents there. You know, our shouting and everything is not working. They're bringing a terminal down to the tank farms. That's what they're planning to do now.
So
all the shouting is not working.
The government will say they don't have money, but I see, and I didn't want to say this on there because I'm giving Lagos State government time to do what they plan to do. They've not done 100 days yet, but they are reconstructing a laid back that was constructed in the past 4 years.
Can you imagine?
I'm wondering when we need money for other capital projects, you are reconstructing what Ambode just constructed in Alausa Bus.
Let us greet any first timers in the building. Let us not get.
Let's focus.
Hello, please stand up for recognition.
You're looking pretty.
This
Good to have you.
On the show.
Welcome, welcome.
And thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you. We never take you for granted.
I always watched you while I was there. I always watched you people.
And Yemi Legend, today is the last Wednesday of the month, so every last Wednesday, Yemi Legend sends us small chops.
Yemi Legend.
Every last Wednesday, Yemi Legend sends us small chops. Biggie sends us drinks for our audience. And then we have cream slices cake. So thank you so much. So, all right, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll look at the top stories of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This tea tastes better because you're back.
Oh.
That ginger you added was fantastic.
Oh, I'm glad you all missed me. I'm so
I
glad.
like it. Because we always use honey. When Wake comes back, it brings ginger and lemon, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's start with the punch. Shiites blame Saudi Arabia. Inspector General orders clamp down. FG Gazette's court order prescribing sect. Picture here of a section of Abule Osho Road.
Osho.
I almost heard
It's
Osho.
Osho, OSO.
It's Osho.
Oh, okay.
Is it Osho Road? Okay. Off Giwa Lambe Road, that's Ogun State. Thank God it's not our state. Baby dies as Lagos bus crushes mother. Very sad story. APC wants article against felony. Undume, Amosun, Namani, Melaye, others head Senate committees. We didn't submit certificates to army, says Buhari's course mate. I have no intention of grooming a successor, says Buhari. And FG insists worship centers must get wedding license, can kicks. Let's start with this story of this little child that was crushed.
That's about the only story I read. The lady was going to buy her baby's birthday
Booked her
things.
birthday cake, yeah.
Collect her birthday cake. Her birthday was the next day when an LCC vehicle was chasing this downfall. The downfall now rushes and hits her. Runs over the woman. The baby falls off her back, cracks his head on the... And then it's a terrible story.
Died on the spot.
Died on the spot. And then, of course, the downfall driver and the conductor, they ran away. The LCC officials, they ran away. Only the mobile policeman was the one that now... So somebody called Ogida, now rushed. The policeman ran into a building, and then the other mobile policeman helped him lock the gate.
But they were able to get the plate number of the bus, so hopefully they can trace the driver.
Well, the police claim to have got the driver, and the police are saying that no, the bus driver said it wasn't the LCC, it was brake failure. No, eyewitnesses saw something else, so that it was brake failure.
So pretty much that's the story. The LCC truck was chasing that downfall. Is there another story you want to take?
Yes, I wanted to take the story of the federal government and the marriage license.
Oh, yeah.
So the federal government came out, the Ministry of Interior director came out last week and spoke about the fact that only 317 churches were licensed to carry out marriage, and that if you are getting married, insist that the church that wants to marry you is licensed. And so they also mentioned that only 15 states don't have any church within those 15 states licensed. The CAN has replied saying that they don't understand what this is about. They've been conducting marriages for how many years, and that's why are we now coming up with this policy now? Another
policy,
part
I think
of it,
can't see the person that spoke. I'm not
I didn't
even sure
like
if he
it
spoke
because
then.
person now asked,
he was making it look like
where are the
this
mosques?
is suspicious.
Yeah.
This cannot keep from a good place. And I'm wondering, they are just saying
deal with the issue.
And they're not even saying it's only 300 and something numbers that are actually registered. Almost 5,000, 4,600 and something are actually registered. But only 360 did not renew that license. So it doesn't mean that the others can't renew the license.
So what I was waiting for was to find out if, are they going to pay for this license? Is that what is fishy? But there was no information that they are paying for it.
Even so that if you put something on something, please get your license.
Simple.
Renew your license so that you give valid licenses when you conduct
because
marriage.
it's obvious that if you don't have a license, you're not going to be, your marriage is not going to be legal. And that's why a lot of people, I've noticed that a lot of people marry in the registry first.
Yeah. I think because the government has overlooked it for so long,
married in
people
the
are
registry.
used.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes,
Church.
that's it, yes.
I just like trying to color this every time.
And asking and now comparing religion. Okay. Please, CAN should be a unifying force.
Let's move on to Daily Sun. Buhari works on minister's portfolio, likely to inaugurate cabinet this week. Edo Assembly, Abaseki, adamant as Senate orders fresh proclamation. Senate names chairs of 69 committees. Tribunal Buhari opens defense with 3 witnesses. And my intended successor should work hard, says Buhari. Did you read that story where Buhari was saying that? I mean, I hardly ever see our president talk so much. I mean, he really used a lot of words in this article. I'm thinking, our president doesn't
Did they say he was he
the
speaking?
I couldn't pick that out. But generally, he was saying that it took him about three times. The 4th time he became to try and be president before he became president. So whoever's going to succeed him must be willing to be resilient, to be willing to go through the long process that you might actually fail, but still try and must work really hard.
Succession is very funny because I didn't find anybody. If I find anybody, I'll create more problems for him or her. Let those who want to be president try as much as I did. So level playing field for anybody contesting 2023, which should quell all the crises that we are hearing something going on. You know, I've been following the Senate. So now we have, our Senate has 69 committees. Yes. And we now have representatives of each of those committees, name and their deputy. And so anybody, any ministry you have, any area you have issues with, these are the senators you should look out for, and I'll tweet their names.
I particularly love the fact that Ndume got the defense committee because he's from Borno, and because we can no longer pay lip service to the Boko Haram issue.
So somebody who is
I would love someone who is in the heat of it to sit over that committee.
So I think every Nigerian should be aware of these senators and their portfolios so that you can monitor them. It's our responsibility to hold them accountable.
Moving on to The Nation. Buhari CSO Kyari to court. Atiku wasn't born in Nigeria. 20 vehicles, 10 shops burnt in Lagos fire. 2 ex-governors, 103 others in trouble over 5 trillion naira debt. Senate confirms all 43 ministerial nominees. Abiola would have solved ethno-religious crisis. That was our president speaking. And El-Zakzaky-led IMN is fake, says Shiite. Okay, let's start with these 20 vehicles that was burned. It was actually at where they sell spare parts in Lagos.
Is it the trade fair one? Alaba?
Not Ladipo, there's another one. Can you call to? I can't remember.
There's one at Owode.
Owode, that's the Oniri. They said it was a woman who actually, she makes food for them. She's a vendor. And I think she left the coal burning overnight. Hey. So the fire started at 9 p.m. and somebody lost about 1.2 million naira bonnet that he had already sold. The person hadn't come to pick up the bonnet. So serious busy on the ground. But the shops were lit up and they lost quite a number of cars and buses also.
Hey, that woman.
I'm telling you.
There's no other way to say it.
So who are the Abakari's defense thing that's out?
Let's just stay out of it
until we get a ruling. Okay, let's move on. Abiola would have solved ethno-religious crisis. That was our president talking. Okay, moving on to Vanguard. Shiites banned for engaging in subversion, says IGP Adamu. Says group pledge allegiance to foreign nations to ruin Nigeria. Don't turn Nigeria to battleground. Shiites group wants Saudi Arabia and Iran. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson appoints Nigerian as minister. Good job. Why I won't name my successor, says Buhari. 8 died in Taraba, 3 killed in Benue communal crisis. Abiola would have saved Nigeria from ethnic religious tension, says Buhari. Presidential poll, Buhari opens defense, tenders school certificate in evidence. Obaseki Senate lock horns over Edo Assembly. Let's talk about Shiites for a second.
So the Shiites have responded to what the prescription that by the courts, actually, not the federal government. The courts have prescribed them a terrorist group, and they are responding that this is backed by Saudi Arabia influence on this government, that they don't believe it is a Nigerian thing. The Saudi Arabians are behind it. But the federal government is saying that they've always sworn allegiance to Iraq, and the Iraqis have demanded that they release El-Zakzaky to come over to their country for treatment, which they question. We're a sovereign nation. We must be seen to be, to be standing on our own. And it's very risky for us, I believe, that to allow El-Zakzaky's or Iraqi's influence on El-Zakzaky affect this country. I think
if they align Saudi Arabia's influence, it's the same thing.
That has not been proved. That is the Shiites saying, because the kind of Islam that they practice is not the one in Saudi Arabia. They believe that the Saudis are behind it. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
But, you see, because I think that making them a terrorist group is not fair. These people have been... the only reason they are protesting is because their leader has been locked up for over 3 years without trial. If you're going to try him, try him.
I'd like you to study the history of these people very well.
It's not about history, there's a case.
On the ground, federal government have not been, I would say they've not been tactical.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes, but their issues are serious. They are strong issues.
Let's move on to Daily Trust. There are obviously different angles to this story. So let us just move on to Daily Trust. Will treat IMN members as terrorists and state enemies, says the federal government. Real Boko Haram defeated, presidency insists. Equities lose 64 billion naira amid sell pressure. Let's find a story that I won't name my successor. We talked about that already. And the Senate confirms all ministerial nominees.
All of them.
And FG raises task force to recover 5 trillion.
I wish I read Boko Haram defeated because I would have jumped on it. I don't believe it.
So we're waiting for them to give portfolios to all the 43.
Because I want to ask, how did the ministers, how were they questioned?
The same way
Because they don't have portfolio.
The same way the questions last 2015.
That was how they were asking
they didn't have portfolio now.
about taxes. And I was wondering some questions they were asking. Now, that was how they questioned Ocholi, James Ocholi, that time, on all the legal issues, and then they gave him a different portfolio. So why are we, then don't bother asking questions. Let them just go through.
You have to have a portfolio before
they have to run up, but that's final story and the Guardian Senate aired on taking over Edo Assembly, says lawyer.
Yes, so the Senate have given a 1-week ultimatum to the governor of Edo State to redo the proclamation of the House and, you know, of the House, because he had already done it with the 9-member honorables House and they got a speaker from that. And the other members are claiming it didn't conform. Of course it didn't, because it's an over 20 member. 15 other members were not waiting, and they've called on the party. They've tried to make this thing dirty, claim that the chairman, the former governor, is behind it, make it dirty as possible. I'd expect the governor to do justice and let it be seen to be done. Yes, so
unfortunately, that's
not
all we
allow
can
the Senate or the House of Assembly to take over that.
Unfortunately, that's all we can take. We actually, the Ogun State leaders went to visit our president, and that was where he said that if the MKO had been the president, he would have ensured that this ethno-religious crisis would have never had actually come about in the first place. Unfortunately, that's all we can take on front pages. When we come back, we have lots of stories to discuss. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, we saw this gist online that caught our attention and just thought to share with our viewers, you know? It said that a Twitter user asked if it's better to warn your female friend who is dating your trashy male relative, letting her know what she's getting into is, but this guy you're dating, now something else, or would you just let the relationship go ahead without saying anything? You can join the conversation 070-806-68014. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So, in other words, you have a friend or a cousin that a guy that you just know he's just a wrong guy. He's always there. You know, he's a wrong boy. He does everything. And then you have one friend that is dating him. Would you advise her to break it up? Wait, this guy is not correct. Or we just let it go naturally? YK?
I wouldn't say break it off. I would just say he is this. You like my cousin? He likes women, no? Maybe you'll be the one that we
change him.
We change him. But if you are not, I don't say I didn't warn you. Exactly. I will warn you, but you are free to make a decision. Enter the relationship. After all, you are two adults. So
there are many factors that can change this simple statement into something else. When the relationship has gotten intimate between the two parties, I say nothing. Because the truth is, women tend not to be rational when they become intimate with someone. That emotional attachment makes them not rational. It's sad, but that's the way our hormone is wired. So if there's intimacy between them, I'll just be looking and praying from afar. I might give hints, you know, like sign language, or I might send her to a place where I know he will be, in a way that he's not expecting her to ever come there, so that she would catch something by herself. I might do those ones, but I will not directly tell her that there's something going on between both of you. Because once there's intimacy, he will come back and beg. Most women feel that if a man says, I love you, I will change for you. So they would hear all these things. He beat his first wife. The second wife left him. You will now go and marry the same woman, the same man. You are hoping that by some stroke of luck, you will be the messiah of his life. So because of those kind of things, I've learned, because I've seen relationships that separate and they came back, and I was the settlement. It was me they used to settle their quarrel. That Tope does not love us. He does not want our union to work. So I don't want to be that person. I would use Kone to say it, or boom, keep quiet.
I know it's safe to stay on your own, but I'd rather be the one who, and you told me, than be the one, you people never said anything. Why are you people now advising me? So, Auntie, this my brother used to beat somebody, he's very temperamental, looking very well. If you now go ahead, you cannot continue to cry later that he never showed me, he changed all over, or one auntie won't change. You know what it was, what you were going into. I think we should. I remember growing up, and I heard one of my aunties say, that your mom warned me. I didn't listen. So she was supposed to pay back. She was the one who scrutinized whoever we brought home and say, okay, she tested for temper, you know. So I'd rather be that safe person who will tell you, this is how our brother is. Maybe you are coming to the house. In fact, once you start coming, I usually do it. I will ask you, what are you doing? What are you looking for?
I've been on this table before, because I advised a friend who I knew that was dating somebody that was just a padlock person. And I told the person, listen, this person ain't got you, this person, but the person doesn't listen. So sometimes you have a friend that they just don't see, they feel like you're the bad person. When you advise them, oh, Morale doesn't want me to be settled. Somebody even say
you like the guy.
Flip the situation, let the girl have a negative past. People around the man will not shut up. It's because he's a man now that you are thinking somebody will break somebody's heart. When he's a girl, they consider you doing the man a favor. To say, she has one past too.
Okay,
in fact,
okay,
you know.
So let me come to all this. I think a few people wanted to share a few stories. Go ahead, please. Any experience of this sort? Go ahead.
No experience really, but one neighbor said, "You'll be a better friend when you pretend." Like, Sheba, I told you, then I would have told you. But if your friend is dear to you, you will pretend before it happens. So.
That's
okay,
point. Cool. All right, so in that sense...
But Murayo, see, the thing is, there are cases where a trashy male relative meets this angelic friend of yours and his life transforms. So you would have cost that relationship that can change this guy, because maybe the guy has never experienced true love. So I'm wary of us judging someone by their past, because the man could actually have changed. So you might hint at it. You might let the man understand this guy has a past, but it can change.
What do you consider a past? One experience? No, one experience is not a past. It has to be a recurring decima in this marriage, in this person's lifestyle. So this guy is a philanderer, habitual one. You know the history. You know how many girls he's brought home, done and... See, I was like 16. I had this my uncle, and I know he's watching, who's regular, was, bringing girls home. There was this auntie that used to buy me biscuits. Every time I just felt guilty. Once I went home, I told my father, I said, every time I go out with my uncle, he's stopping over, and I know all these people, the ones that come, I know this particular auntie is buying you biscuits. This auntie thinks that uncle is going to marry him, marry her. Please, let her know. Because whenever she comes, she's on her knees, greeting my parents. She's so nice. I felt guilty. So one day when she came like that, I told her, auntie, before you came, day first, somebody else came. So maybe people should sit down and talk about it.
But what are you saying that she actually be the person?
He did not.
He wants to marry.
He didn't marry her. No, he wasn't amebo. It's guilt. Because see, she might be thinking he might be giving her the sweet story. All those other ones don't matter. In fact, they are not there. No, it was a friend. We that we know, we are in the house. All of them are kneeling down. You are only on the same. You are competing for the same person. You don't know what is in his heart. So immediately I told her, she knew what she was up against.
Okay,
and it broke her heart.
Let me take coming from the audience. Go ahead, please.
There's a side of the scripture that says that to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not is a sin. As a friend, we all have a role to play in the life of our friends. I will have to tell her to prevent her having heartbreak in future.
Who are you to tell? Listen. See, there are lots of people out there that there are a lot of men that are late bloomers. Sometimes you just need a certain type of woman in their life that helps them to rediscover themselves and get their life back on track. So you could actually be preventing
a serious relationship
from actually having a serious relationship.
No, I would not prevent my friend. I would say, go for it, but just know that this is how
the ends up.
Just don't. I will not. If I know when to pull out, because if how you should ask
you don't
yourself
even
this
have to
question.
pull out.
If it is you, will you want them to tell you?
Yes,
You
I
know,
will.
at the end of the
So
day,
me,
it still goes back to that
If I
factor.
like a guy, and someone comes and says, is this, is that, I will say thank you.
You just know.
Let me find out by myself. I will still go into, if I like the guy enough, I will go into the relationship.
Okay, let me take this call. Mona, are you there? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, good morning. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning. Well, it's a very difficult situation. Let me use that word. It's good for you to give the advice, but before you give that advice, you have to put some things into consideration.
Exactly.
Number one, the stage of that person's life. If that person is at a stage where he or she is willing to take anyone they have at that point in time, no matter what you tell them, definitely they might not even listen to you. Number two, the kind of person they are, their personality, are they the kind of person that would say, okay, they want to hear the truth, like you're about to hear, that's one thing you have to think about, because you might want to help that person out, and that person will think, oh, what's your business? Then at the third point in time, you have to look at yourself, because if you advise someone and they say, okay, look at you, just that kind of thing, they say, oh, you want me to be like you, lonely and single, because I'm divorced. I advised a friend of mine talking about someone he was dating, and he was like, oh, I'm not in the position to give him an advice. And the point in time, he found out that this girl was cheating on him and they already engaged. So that's why I keep talking about that. You need to be sure of the person you're talking about. Your mode of delivery.
Thank you very much for that advice. I think we have one more coming from the audience. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I belong to a school of thought that says that a good friend are friends that safeguard you from all kind of offenses. And in this scenario, like in this topic now, I think it's so paramount to call the attention of that your friends to the danger ahead. Because if you don't call our attention to it, it might feel that should be suffering. But the story will be very good to tell later that remember so day, I told you so
Told
time,
you to
that be careful.
So it's about giving the person
another side. I could tell my relative, my philandering relative, I could decide to say that this, my friend, is very dear to me. I won't let you hurt her. And I know that you have a track record. If you intend to do the same thing, I'll go and warn my friend. Because I think that if I talk to my relative, is my own person. Imagine if my relative finds out later that, and I really love this girl, I want to marry this girl. You spoiled this relationship for me. You know she's a good girl that will have been a blessing to my life, but you went to tell her. Why didn't you tell me? So I think another angle is to discuss with your relative that you feel is philandering, because you will get his own perspective. If he is ready for that difference, it might tell you that, this your friend, I just want chop am, then you know where you stand. These people that say it, they'll tell you that I just want chop am.
So there's a street slang of somebody who is an habitual philanderer, and you just say, bros, now you there when you're escorting any babe, meaning that that's a new babe in town. So you know that this bros, he has that nature. I think it's better to give the person the heads up. Some ladies can handle philandering men.
Okay,
Some
can I
people,
ask you a
they have the
question?
chest to carry it.
Can I ask both of you a question? If it's your relative that goes out with your friend that you know, this your friend, she's a...
She has his history.
Will you tell your relative?
Immediately it's coming home, bros. If you go there,
Unfortunately, we have to go on the break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, we're still going to continue this conversation if you want to, but however, there's an important conversation we must have concerning issue of gambling. It's becoming quite prevalent. Lots of young people out there are engaged in gambling. And there's so many companies now that are sponsoring different shows, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, yes, there's a legal framework for this, but the fact that young people are so addicted to this form of getting money is something that we need to discuss. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. Okay, so before we move into the issue of gambling, let's just finish up on this topic of would you tell a friend who's dating your cousin or your family member who is randy? Let me take one or two comments from the audience. Go ahead, madam, please.
Just want to share more light on it because it really happened to my cousin. He's not really a friend though. It was like the lady was like eyeing my cousin and he now come through me. Okay. And said that he has interest on my cousin. And I said, I don't know, because we live in the same environment. You might have known him, know his character and all that. I hope you can be able to cope. This is a chronic womanizer and all that. He said he knew.
She knows.
She knows that, that she knows that she can manage the situation. Then she eventually came in as they were dating. So as time goes on, she couldn't bear it. So she went to go and stab herself for the guy. That is for my cousin to like pay attention to him and all that. So it was God that really helped her that day. I had to, in the midnight, when they were sleeping, not knowing that there's a girl at his own back of that called him that he's at the back of the room that she opened the door. My cousin have to leave his room and go to and open the door for him to call me to meet the same girl.
All these stories are very, very...
All right. Thank you for sharing that story. I mean, obviously, it's important.
When your emotional attachment, but that's the thing.
Well, we should be rational. So somebody tells you it's nothing bad, you can always investigate and see. If you find out what the person is saying is wrong, you continue. If you think it's true, you can cope, continue. If you think you cannot cope, quickly step aside.
Okay, I think we can end on that. Now, let's move on to a very important issue. There's an ongoing debate online on social media whether betting should be encouraged among young Nigerian youth. Recently, a particular reality show is proudly sponsored by a betting company. Now, what are your thoughts on this? People have been coming up, was that right? Anyway, you can join the conversation 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. I'm not focused on the company sponsoring a show. That's not my point. The focus is it right for betting to be encouraged? Because a lot of young people use that as their favorite pastime now. Just go to Baba something and just start saying, okay, what's today's number? What's yesterday's number? That kind of, and that's what they do. I see lots of young people crowded in this little kiosk to find out the winning numbers. Is it right? I mean, especially for the fact that many people outside the country, lottery has been addictive. A lot of people have killed themselves over this issue of the numbers. And even if you eventually win safe, you spend the money, you don't even see the result of the money. So, in your own view, should we actually encourage betting? Although, even though we know that they are regulatory... Sorry?
I think you have concluded the discussion already. Betting is legal. It's accepted there's a legal framework for betting. Some people live in the dangerous side of life. Their psychology is into that thing of, I want to do something daring. And they probably cannot do bungee jumping, or all those crazy things, but they are naturally out for the high, something that would push them over the edge. And betting gives them that game of chance of, I might just get it. I might calculate, I might just get it. I think everything should be done within reason. The reason it's probably accepted is because the government knows that whether they like it or not, people will do this thing. So you might as well create a framework that protects your citizen within this gambling thing. So I think a lot of information needs to go out concerning gambling, because many people are indulging in it behind the scene without having a clear understanding of how to plan your budgets and create a budget for your gambling, if you like gambling.
I think, like you said, gambling is legal. But it's not the government's business if you gamble or not. It is how they train you from your house. If you train your child that gambling is bad, then your child will not come out and gamble. Because everybody is allowed to do whatever you want to do with your life. If you want to gamble, it will destroy your life. I know people who have gambled and today they have nothing because they've gambled everything away. But it was his choice to gamble. And you should be allowed to do...
I know, thank you for bringing us there, YK, because I know a family, actually, that lost everything to gambling. That was in the US then. And he I think it was at this bowling club. I think bowling, he bet certain amounts of money, and they had this group and he lost...
In clients where betting...
He lost everything he had.
You see, I know this person who blames his parents. Because he felt his parents should not have exposed him to gambling at such a young age. It was his uncle that took him to a gambling place. Because I know for a fact that gambling is addictive.
Yes, it is.
You know those machines, those jackpots?
Slot machines.
Yeah. When I used to go to Federal Palace in those days, we were young and we get 10 kobo. If you have one naira, 10 kobo, you will bet everything.
And nothing will happen.
And you
are waiting for the next thing.
And when you don't, the money is not coming, you will go to your mommy. Mommy, please, can I have another 10 kobo? Hoping.
Is that adrenaline that you're talking about? That high?
Hoping that you will hear, and God help you if you hear.
It happens, you know. I mean,
because you will buy that grain you hear, so you will put it right back.
Yes.
The way for another grain, the grain will not come this time.
The way I see gambling, I'd expect that it's regulated, and as it is now, they say it's regulated, but I'd expect more strenuous regulation in the sense that the disclaimer we attach to tobacco smoking should be attached to gambling for me, so that people know. Because everybody will stake, one person will pack. So Kuku go and do a job, 10 people pack and one person, everybody pack per month. It pays you that everybody will stake. Yes, now, you will go there, you put, for instance, now, you have 1 naira, you put 10 kobo, 10. One person comes, till one person will put to 100, maybe one person now finally hits the jackpot. And those other people go empty-handed. There's a confusion. There's an unclear part in that arrangement. It's not clear. So regulation should be stronger.
That's the real gamble.
It should be stronger. Gambling I think last year, and I found that in many countries actually, in the early days, many governments actually got their funds from gambling, because the loose cash, this is the money that is totally untaxed, money you get directly from the people, because the kind of money these gamblers are making, the owners of this company that you are going to, the kind of money they are making, you cannot dream of it in the entire lifetime.
Las Vegas.
So the point is that unfortunately, our regulatory body have not understood the fact that you can actually part-own these companies, because the kind of money they're making is too much for an individual.
It didn't work. But I think that the truth is people would gamble. There's a nature that some people are addicted to it and all of that. I think that, and we cannot, it's like saying that stop premarital sex. People will still try it. So you might as well just arm people with information on what to do. Give them how do you plan betting? So when I discussed with someone I knew, I saw betting app on his phone. They don't even go and gather at kiosk anymore. Within their phones, they complete multiple betting apps. So I asked him, where do you get the money from? How do you, he said he takes out his breakfast money. The money he budgets for breakfast and lunch, he will eat once in a day, hoping that if he calculates the number well and he makes the money back. So I was not advising him on other investment opportunities he has, but he enjoys it. So help them bet within reason.
The point I was trying to make earlier was that you can't stop anybody from gambling. That's almost, it's undoable. What you can do is ensure that the companies actually pay a huge percentage of what they're getting to the government to ensure they have the government. These are complaining of roads, Abi. We don't have money to build roads. We don't have money to build power plants. If we can get the kind of money these guys are earning from gambling, you see the government will have loose cash. They're actually trying to tax the right now. I think they're trying to tax. I'm not sure if that's implemented. Has it been implemented? And they're taxing each what's it called? Each bet. They do that right now?
They talked about it.
It hasn't been approved.
But
they talked about it.
Yes. No, I know they're doing a 10%.
It's for me that I've been managing my life. They will come and tax me.
No, but I know I read it in the papers sometimes back, and they're going to tax it.
And they were protesting it at the time. Yes. So currently, the betting companies pay taxes. They actually do. A lot of them do pay taxes. You might complain that it's not commensurate to what they are making, but that's the government's decision on how they want to tax them.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
This is the first time calling to your program.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I actually enjoy the topic you are discussing this morning. This issue of gambling, there's no way you can tell somebody not to gamble. But the only thing is that the regulation there has to be some stringent conditions to be able to control the way people gamble and the way people are committing suicide because they lost or things like that. I think there are conditions on how you can take loan in the bank. You cannot take more than the certain percentage of your whatever income and this and that. Something similar to that should be looked at by the commission in charge of this lottery. So if they're able to do that one, then they'll be able to control the way people lose their hard-earned money to gambling. Actually, I look at gambling as people who are lazy, one,
Or another thing is this unemployment that is around. So when they give you 10 naira to do something, you want to double it and make it triple or something like that. So
Yeah.
So see, there is this lottery that people do, this lottery. And people look at it as it's not. Most people I know do this lottery. And they do this like pay one day. Even if it is 5 naira or 5 kobo, they will still, pay one day, I will hit that $3 million.
There was a time
so many people in America are doing lottery.
Yeah,
that lottery is gambling.
There was a time network providers were doing those things,
Yes.
and the NCC had to come in that people were complaining. They would say, no, 20 million, whatever, for 20 winners, and nothing will go. So they regulated that. Like he said, you can stop somebody from gambling, or you can at least limit it. Like I said, there was an advocacy against tobacco smoking. You cannot stop someone from smoking, but you cannot. We were actually able to bring it down because we sensitize people against the dangers of it. You can also limit how much a person can stake per day or per time, so that you can ensure that there's at least proper regulations.
Before you go, I know you have to go. Can I just say this way? There was one mineral that they promised us car. I drank that. I drank more than 100 crates of that mineral.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. We have a special guest in the house. It's our Wednesday. We're going to dig into how a woman can inspire us, because she's doing great things. She's done great things, and it's good to know that women are doing great things in Nigeria. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I drank that mineral.
7 up.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
So, welcome back. She's a management consultant, strategist, development, governance expert, and a lecturer with 18 years working experience in international development space. Welcome with us, our Ini Abimbola.
Thank you. Women will
Thank you.
All right, so once in a while, we like to bring women who are doing great things, who are doing phenomenal things, who are, have advanced in their chosen careers, to encourage others out there to know that you can actually do things when you put your heart to it. Could you give us take us back to your journey, how you started in this area of strategy, being a strategy consultant, your career, where you started from, and how you're able to grow yourself to this point? Could you just give us?
Thank you for having me. I see you have quite a number of young people in the audience, so I like to start this way especially when I speak to young people. I'm the daughter of a roadside watch repairer, and one of those that will never have been given the opportunity to be anything. So women like me get pregnant at 13 because of the kind of areas that we lived in, and then your life just truncates and ends. But I'm thankful because I had parents who were very poor, but also, had the love for education. So even though he couldn't do as much, but of course I went to nursery school actually, went to primary school, secondary school, and then of course started working after secondary school because I also had to help to put food on the table. So I didn't go to university when my mates were going to university because who was going to pay for the fees? So I had to work. I worked practically all my life. So when I say to people that I actually feel, I understand when people at the age of 60 or 35 years of service really feel the need to retire, I feel like I should, I should have retired by now. But that tenacity to say, look, this is not the life that I want. So working and wanting to go back to school, taking all sorts of exams. So of course, I didn't just stop there. I started doing secretarial studies. So I used that to work over a period of time. So I had the shorthand and the typewriting school and all of that. And then, of course, finally had the opportunity to go to university, studied English, and started working. But of course, I was working and having to pay my way through school, and it's just been like that. Got married quite early, and of course started life, hoping that being married I could help my parents and at least just make life a bit more comfortable with them. I started taking care of my parents from the age of 16, wow. Ensuring that there was food on the table, just Generally just, you know,
Being responsible.
being responsible, of course, doing legitimate things. And
like this, are you sure it was legitimate?
I was, though, because...
People see you and they assume that you went to the illegitimate.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the thing with, especially if you're a yellow girl, you know, there's this thing. But I grew up in a very, my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. So there was this strict, you know, upbringing that we had. And it was tough because, of course, you see people that want to take advantage and all of that. But she said something earlier about the way and manner you bring up your children. So we were brought up in this. I mean, I remember I put up something on my WhatsApp and some people were laughing and sent me a message. I remember, you know, we didn't have television. Because we couldn't afford it, not because there was anything wrong. And I went to the window of a neighbor. You know, this face me, I face you. So I went to the window to watch TV, and my father caught me. The beating. He so beat, as in, if you start watching TV, you're going to get spoiled type of thing. So it was that kind of upbringing that I had. And so when people see my CV today, they can't relate it. You know, how did she get there?
It's very wide.
But it was just tenacity, was constantly looking for
I know
opportunities.
ladies want to jump in here, but I have a lot of questions. I mean, because as a parent, we're growing up with our kids and we want the best for them. And we're trying hard to have a balance.
Yeah.
Let them watch cartoons, let them travel, expose them to these, let them go for, let's go out to eat out, you know, eat pizza, the whole works, be modern.
Yes.
Now, I want you to talk to parents. Are we overindulging our children, or would you think that, based on your own experience, do you think less is more, or do you feel that, listen, we need them to be exposed, because everybody wants every summer, we're doing for some, this year now, people are fighting their family that we must go for summer.
I think that
You know,
part
so
of the
your
problem,
view.
I think part of the problem that we've had over the years is wanting to be more Western than the westernized countries. I think that we are, particularly the generation of parents that we have now, are overly, for us, it's about the optics. It's about the facade of the kind of life that we live. So if Mariah's children go for summer, why can't my children go for summer? So it is not about the reality of what the summer is about. I think less is more. I'm a very hands-on, very practical and very intentional mother. I had my little baby at home. She's 3. I had her 20 years after my last daughter. And the tendency is to want to spoil a kid like that. She's the only one at home. She's my retirement baby. But I'm also very intentional about the way I bring up my children. So for me, less is more. Exposure will come, but what kind of exposure? We also have to be careful because the world isn't as it used to be. So imagine my parents how many years ago, over 40 years ago, more than 40 years ago, trying to ensure we don't have that kind of overexposure. And then imagine what we have now. So you have children of 5, 7 with smartphones. I am the mother that says you don't relax your hair until you're 15. You don't have a smartphone until you're 15. I don't care what the world is. I'm as traveled as anybody will be, but that's my own way of parenting. So it's just to let children be children. For me, it's about preserving childhood, which we're not doing. We're allowing our children to do things that they ought not to at that time. And then the things they ought to do as children are not the things that we...
Oh, let's go. Trust me, I have a million questions.
I'm really just loving you. Truly, I love the way you're talking. I love what you're saying. And when you tell me, when you say how you were brought up, how, you know, so you've worked to where you are today. I'm just, I don't really have any questions. I'm loving you.
Okay,
So,
let's talk about
I have a question because I've heard you speak. You know, I've heard you speak at many platforms, and I know the kind of connection you have and the kind of people you have access to. And people are in a hurry. I'm very hungry, and I really need, this is for me. And how do we get to that level where we understand that this journey takes time? And when do we calm down and enjoy the process?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It would help people to understand the breakdown of when you started working and when did you get into the international space. Okay. Because I read your CV and I heard that you worked with development country, you were traveling around, you've been going around Africa, you worked with one UN something. How did you get there, and how can we young people that we feel hungry to do many things understand that it might take time, and what do we do while we're waiting for that time to come?
Okay, so I worked.
is a virtue.
Yes, patience is a virtue, because I think that that's part of the problem. So when you see, and then I don't have anything, against inspirational and motivational speakers, but I am a very practical and very truthful person. So tell people that there's a process. That you dream it doesn't mean you can make it. Unfortunately, you can have a lot of dreams, but if you don't get up and work like a donkey, you may never achieve those dreams. It will just remain a dream. It won't become reality. So for me, work and then being tenacious around what you do. Let people know you for your work. I'm not, it took Nima a lot to get me here. I'm not a public person. I always feel that my work has to speak for me. My work is the basis upon which, the platform upon which I get people to know me. So I worked in a bank and then left Nigeria in 2000. Of course, I was married then, and we left and we're living in Addis Ababa. I lived in Addis Ababa for 10 years. And it was while in Addis Ababa that the opportunity came to, first of all, consult. Of course, I knew what I needed to do. So they needed someone to manage some processes. And I said, look, I can do a consultancy for 3 months. So I went into for 3 months within the African Union. It was the African Union. And then, of course, after 3 months, they're like, you have all what we need to be able to manage this project. And that's how I stayed on for a couple of years. Of course, other consultancies. So people want to do something like, there's this lady, she will get everything sorted. So managed the summit of the heads of state, managed quite a lot of large, and that was where it all started, because it's about your work. It's about how tenacious you are. It's not about running faster than your shadow. So if you're willing to stay there and then do the work, because you see, there must be a basis why people want to relate with you.
When they say this work, what's the work?
Okay, so if, for example, you are given the role of an admin assistant, how do you do it? Are you there on time? Are you committed to do it well, and even go? So they said all your work is about putting this cup here, and you put the cup here, but there are splashes of water, and you're like, I'm not the cleaner, it's not my place to clean it. Now people are going to notice. So, but you clean it, you make sure everything is fine, her cup isn't there, you make sure the cups, people are going to say, look, if you want everything done, this is the person that you're going to call. She's going to go over and above, but I think a lot of young people, and I see that because I work with a lot of young people, and I'm mother to, young adults. I think that there's this thing about, I have to focus on what I want to do. They're not very crazy about feedback. They're not crazy about total work.
I want you to pause.
Because we're trying to get project managers for Celebration, young people. And I noticed that when they see the magnitude of the work, they say, no matter how much you're paying them, they will say, no, it's too much work.
Yeah.
They want it, they want to put it in their life, and that's not how you make it in life.
No, but I think that we're also projecting a lot of that. And that's why I said I don't have an issue with inspiration and motivational speakers, but I have a problem when they don't tell people that there's a process. Life itself is a process.
Let me pause you for a quick second, because it's important that young people in the audience and young people at home understand. Because this week we discussed about internship. If the only job you have is to make tea, please be the best tea maker in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because we had that conversation. Oh, they're telling me to make tea. That's what she just said. Be the best tea maker that even the person you're making tea knows, please, if you need somebody to distribute tea, now this person.
See, Morayo, not only will you be the best tea maker, the day you say you are not doing that tea anymore, they will be looking for you.
God bless you, YK.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nima.
I've heard all you said, and I know as a CEO of a company, you have to sometimes give more than your worth. How do you deal with clients who know that you're best at it, but would rather that you cut measures? I've had clients walk away with my money, and I'm just looking at, and in your mind it's fine. How do you still push yourself, knowing that this what they call Nigerian mentality, more nothing, that kind of thing is working against you.
I'm working as a consultant in Nigeria. I mean, I've had to deal with a lot of issues, and I'm on TV, so I'm sure a lot of my clients, but a lot of my clients know that. And I've had to learn over the past 10 years of being in business as well, to be diplomatic. I'm a very direct person, and I do that in everything that I do. What you see is what you get. But in business, you know, wisdom, you said something about wisdom being profitable. So I try to do that. But even at that, we come to you and we say what we will do. Now, the same thing about going overboard. So we come to you, so the kind of work that I do, consulting, so we come to you, perhaps do a gap analysis of what you want us to do, and then we have the scope of work that we're supposed to do. And then we go into the work, and we find out that there are other gaps that we were blindsided to. I'm not going to say that, I didn't charge you for this part. We do everything. At the end of the day, we say to the client, these are the things we noticed, and we did it. Some clients will say, look, I'll pay you for the extra. Some clients won't. Now, most clients will rather, and I think the Nigerian aspect that you spoke about. So a lot of, and I say this with every sense of responsibility. I've been in Nigeria long enough. I'm Nigerian born and bred. But I think that 90% of CEOs or C-suite executives are mentally colonized. So no matter how good you are as a Nigerian, if it's not a white man saying to them, this cup is not going to last, they're not going to take you seriously, and they're not going to pay you for what you are worth. So sometimes you will do work, and then they feel, you know, what did you do that is different? And they go away with your money.
Exactly.
Some will not want to pay you. And you know, there are quite a number of issues. Right. So some companies will not pay until 90 days, 120 days for small businesses. It is killing our business and quite a number of
Let me
other
ask you a
things.
direct question, because we're talking about Nigeria for a second, and let us be as real as possible. Would you say the reason the inroads you have into this business is probably as a result of the fact that you lived outside the country? Let me rephrase that, because if a Nigerian born and raised Nigeria lived in Nigeria, looked for those kind of opportunities, there's a possibility that you would not get it. Like those doors will not open. But if you want to live somewhere, even as close as Ghana, you went to Addis Ababa, someone goes to Kenya, you go somewhere and they see how tenacious you are, they see that you're smart, you're intelligent in Nigeria, and you have this dogged attitude. They give you the opportunity. But if you're in this Nigeria, will they allow you to work in the AU in this country?
Okay, so let me say something to you. Even coming back to Nigeria and starting, so I remember wanting to run one of the biggest conferences. There was this Africa-wide conference on corporate sustainability and responsibility. Trust me, Mariah, I didn't get any support. The only people who supported me were the people that were around me, people who knew that Ini has what it takes to do this. They don't understand how she's going to make money out of it, but we will just support. I didn't get it. For 3 years running, we ran that conference. I brought the biggest names in the industry. I brought the former president of Ireland, Mary Robinson. I brought the mother of sustainability into this country. We didn't get the support. So there's just something wrong. It's not about how you can be as tenacious. But I read something on Twitter yesterday, and I sat down to think about it. When someone wrote something and said, the place of privilege in entrepreneurship. There is a place of privilege. If you don't have, if you don't have the connections, you don't have the money, a backup, you don't go into the entrepreneurship and expect to succeed just like that, because it's risk. Now, for most entrepreneurs that have been able to make it big, it's because there's a support system. If you fall, there's some money for you to spend, not somebody like a watch repairer's daughter. I have to die making it. So it's different. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Nigeria. I think that it's about just being there and doing it. And people at the end, it may take time. And that's the time that most people don't have.
Right, talk about
it. I feel like, I don't want to box you into entrepreneurship and all of that alone, because you have wealth of experience. But there's this question that many people have concerning, I want to travel out. And I feel that if I have international exposure, or if I would make it there. And Mariah came back and was giving us a proverb that if you're a lizard in Nigeria, you are going to be a lizard if you cannot go to Canada and become a crocodile.
At all.
And Yet, we are here and the struggle is real, and we see people go there and they make it better. So, in all reality, people are considering, let me go and struggle my struggle there.
Go and drive my taxi.
What would you say to that young Nigerian who feels hopeless because I'm stuck here, I don't have anywhere else to go?
I'm one of those that say to people, so I stopped saying to people, don't go. It's not like you think, you will walk and die there. I've stopped doing that. You want to go, when are you leaving? Because I think that, you know, we've thrown out this thing so much that when you get out there, if you don't have work ethics here, you're not willing to do your work as if it's the last thing that you would do. You're going to learn it when you get there. You're paid per hour. If you get late for a minute, I say to people, I cannot live abroad. I can't work abroad because maximum work, $25 per hour, $30 per hour. But you're going to work your soul out. My children work in Canada. The taxes alone that are taken, most Nigerians will not even accept that here. We don't want to work. We don't want to work in the snow.
Like that here.
Exactly. So if you have an ATM and it's snowing, minus 20 degrees, you are going to have to go to work. There's no excuse that, if I got to the bus stop, the bus had left, because the buses are timed.
Whether you are pregnant or not.
You have to work. So how many Nigerians are willing to do, if you're willing to work the way that you work abroad, yes, the system, everything works over there. But if you give it as much here, trust me, it may be slower. But you would definitely get there. So I agree that people live there, but trust me, when they get there, they do the kind of work that they will not do here. That's always the difference.
And that is what surprises me, is when you see people abroad, the way they work, if half of them worked that way here, maybe Nigeria would not be the way it is today.
Where we are now.
But then, I was listening to the show, I think it was last week, and they were talking about the universities, and they were talking about education here, and how. But I remember in my day, the universities here, when you graduated here, you will get a job anywhere in the world. What changed here? It was our attitude. The attitude of the government, attitude of the lecturers, attitude of everybody that has helped to destroy the fabric of Nigeria.
You know, you didn't have the support. Why did you still give your best? Because now the measure is how your
She was a watch repairer's daughter.
Hold on, Waiki.
You want to be a watch repairer's daughter for life.
Hold on. They are not paying you your worth. You are still giving your best. That means you're working beyond what they are going to pay you. You know some clients that these people. Why don't you cut measures? Because in business, some people know, they will say, okay, Murayo pays more. I want to sell her plantain. I'll just say, Murayo is 800. But when it's Tokpe, I know she'll pay me 2 times. I say, Tokpe, it's 1, 2. So pay 2 times to cover for it. Why don't you cut measures, to make up?
I think it's important that who you are as a person, your values as a person. It's not about what everything external, it's about internal. What are your values? Many people don't even know what their values are. So my values will not allow me to do that. Like I said, try as much, nobody's perfect, but try as much as possible to be straight as a needle. And that gets me into trouble with a lot of people. But it's about who I am as a person. I won't cut corners.
Right.
I will rather overdo it.
I have to go on a break. When I come back, I'd like you to talk directly to mothers out there, because a lot of people, they need some kind of direction on how to train up these children in this modern world. Stay with us.
I think you should start with mothers and fathers, not just mothers.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Unfortunately, we have just very little time left, and I know that we might have to bring you back again, talk on business. But
if she will agree.
If you agree, but parents today, and I'm really compelled by your story. Your story is humbling, and it's important that parents understand how not to rush these children into getting what they need in the future, making them have it now. I want you to talk to parents out there. What must we do to ensure that our children have the best and make the best of them at this time?
I think that part of the problem is that we want our children to have those things that we didn't have. And we're making a very big mistake in doing that. Let your children be children. don't stretch more than what you should. It's not about what you can, what you should for your children. Let them grow up to see the reality of life. Because if you cushion life for them, the life out there is not going to be cushioning. The life out there will hit them hard. That's why we have very young children, 16-year-old, 14-year-old, committing suicide on reasons that are so flimsy, because you've made the attainment of certain things so much more important than having character, than having, you know, being true to themselves, than understanding that failure is an everyday thing. I say to my children, look, please fail. If you keep coming and then there's something you're not doing right. You have to fail, because when they fail early, they understand that life is up and down, not that everything is made for them. Stop making it seem that it is mandatory to take your children to summer, especially when you can't afford it. Summer is not a do or die. Travel is exposure. Travel is learning. And they only learn if they really go. But if you take them out and you squash them in one tiny place at the backs of Maryland or Baltimore, and then they never really go out, they don't meet new people, they don't go for any summer schools, then what is the point? You could have as well used that money and send them to piano classes, swimming lessons, things that they will need to live life better. I think that fathers, I really like to talk to fathers, because we talk to mothers a lot, but I really like to talk to fathers. I had a father that validated me a lot. My father made sure that I understood what it took to know what life was all about. I had a very strict mom and a very strict dad. My dad is the type that will not talk, but if he wants to beat you, he will pound you like yam. But at the same time, he'll be able to talk with you. I think that fathers need to pay attention to their children. Fathers, please validate your daughters. Fathers, spend time with your daughters. Let your daughters, yes, and your sons, but you see, with your daughters, they need to understand what it takes to be a real man. And that means you have to be a real man. They need to understand that beating a woman is a no-no. Because we have women, I heard you talking about domestic, we have women who go into relationships and accept being beaten, accept being treated badly, because they saw it growing up and they thought it was just normal, that it's okay to be beaten. Mothers, please. You see that your phone, your children are taking it and are watching porn. They're reading a lot of your gossip on it. They're learning this thing so quickly. So when they take your phone and they're playing, be very sure what is on your phone. And when you spend hours on the phone, chit-chatting and telling your friends, do you know that woman? I know how. If you saw where I saw her. Your children are listening and they're imbibing these things. You may think they're 2-year-old. I have a 3-year-old that is so smart. I mean, the things she says. So everybody in the house is aware now that when Miriam is around, we have to be careful what we say, because they're like sponges. They pick up everything. So parenting is tough, but you have to be intentional about it, and you have to be true to yourself. See, if you're true to yourself, we don't have money for this, and don't give your children everything. It is so tiring. I have a problem with badly behaved children. I can't stand them, and I let their parents know I cannot stand them. Because your children are a reflection of you, whether you like it or not.
Thank you so much.
I'm just soaking it.
I wish we brought you on earlier. Would have gotten so much meat from you. Thank you so much.
Instead of the gossiping, we were gossiping.
No, we are gossiping. I've just brought you, but thank you. I think we got quite a bit from you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did. We have to say a big thank you to TBA Services for giving us Biggie drinks and Biggie water. Say a big thank you to them.
Thank you.
Mr. Tijani sent us that water, the drinks yesterday. Yemi Legend. Thank you so much. Cream Slices, as usual, gives us this beautiful cake. Thank you very much, Cream Slices. God bless you. And have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.